At first, it looked like a comeback story. A new project. A fresh start. Another chapter in the extraordinary journey of Kim Go-eun and Lee Min-ho. But what fans didn't expect was that this project would become the breaking point. A moment that blurred the lines between love, loyalty, and ambition. Because behind the smiles and polite interviews, behind the glowing headlines about reunion rumors, something much darker was unfolding. Something that would leave Kim Go-eun questioning everything she thought she knew about the man she once trusted most. It all began when whispers started circulating that Lee Min-ho was working on a new production. A romantic drama under his own creative influence. It wasn't just another acting role. This was his project. His vision. His name at the top of the credits, both as the lead and the creative consultant. The industry buzzed. And then came the twist that made fans' hearts race. Rumors that Kim Go-eun was being considered for the female lead. After The King, Eternal Monarch, fans had waited years to see them together again. The chemistry, the elegance, the way their eyes told stories words never could. It was all still fresh in the public's mind. So when the rumors became official, that Kim Go-eun was indeed joining the project, it felt like a dream come true. But what no one realized then was that dreams sometimes hide traps. Behind the curtain, sources close to the production began to notice strange things. Script changes, casting adjustments, sudden creative decisions that seemed to favor one person, Lee Min-ho. At first, Go-eun thought it was just the usual creative chaos of the industry. After all, every project goes through rewrites. But soon, she began to sense a pattern. Scenes that were originally written to highlight her emotional depth were suddenly shortened. Key moments were rewritten, shifting focus away from her character. And during press meetings, questions about her role were carefully redirected, with Lee Min-ho doing most of the talking. "He's a genius," one reporter quoted Go-eun as saying politely, her smile delicate, her eyes careful. But to those who knew her well, the spark she once had during promotions was gone. What made it worse was that Lee Min-ho and his team allegedly had a very different narrative to push. They wanted the world to see this as his project, his comeback, his creative rebirth. And while Kim Go-eun was undeniably talented, she was, in their storyline, the supporting miracle. A beautiful addition, not the centerpiece. For someone like Go-eun, who had built her name on complex, leading roles, this shift was subtle, but painful. Still, she stayed professional, because that's who she is. Graceful. Composed. Always putting the art first. But even grace has limits when it starts to feel like manipulation. Behind the scenes, reports say there were moments, quiet, tense conversations where Go-eun tried to understand what was really happening. Why were her suggestions suddenly dismissed? Why were her emotional scenes being cut? And why did it feel like she was being positioned to fail? Some insiders whispered that Lee Min-ho, though not malicious, was deeply protective of his image. That he feared being overshadowed. That he wanted to ensure this project reflected him, not their shared history. And in that attempt to control the narrative, he may have unintentionally hurt the very person who helped make his story legendary. Then came the reviews. When the first teaser dropped, the comments were divided. Fans of the pairing were ecstatic, but critics noticed the imbalance immediately. Why does the female lead feel secondary? Why is her character underwritten? Where's the spark that made them unforgettable in The King? The production team brushed it off. But the murmurs grew louder. And for Kim Go-eun, it must have felt like déjà vu, another storm of speculation, another wave of judgment she didn't deserve. Because while the headlines praised Lee Min-ho's performance and direction, the subtext was cruel. That Kim Go-eun had lost her touch. That she couldn't match his energy anymore. No one knew how much that must have stung. Insiders close to the actress revealed that during filming, she confided in a few trusted friends, saying, "I don't feel seen here. I feel like a shadow in my own work." Those words broke hearts. Because for someone who has given everything, every ounce of emotion, every quiet strength to her craft, to feel erased by someone she once loved and trusted, that's not just professional pain. That's personal betrayal. And yet, Kim Go-eun never lashed out. She never went public with frustration or resentment. Instead, she finished the project with dignity. She promoted it as she always does, with grace, humility, and that quiet smile that hides so much. But the audience could sense it. The spark between them, once effortless, now felt forced, fragile, heavy with things unsaid. Even Lee Min-ho, during press tours, seemed strangely subdued when speaking about her.
He praised her, yes.
But it felt rehearsed, as if both were walking on glass. Then came the interviews that changed everything. When a journalist asked Go-eun if she'd work with Lee Min-ho again, her answer was calm but revealing. "I believe in growth," she said softly. "Sometimes, growth means knowing when to move forward alone." It was diplomatic, but it was also final. Fans replayed that clip endlessly, analyzing her tone, the brief pause before the word alone. And slowly, the truth sank in. This wasn't just about a failed project. It was about a love that turned into rivalry, a partnership that became a power struggle. In the months that followed, both stars took separate paths. Lee Min-ho dove into new ventures, travel, endorsements, another script rumored to be his most personal work yet. Kim Go-eun, on the other hand, retreated. She took time off, traveled quietly, focused on personal growth and smaller, more artistic projects that reminded her why she started acting in the first place. Her performances since then have been rawer, deeper, tinged with an honesty that only heartbreak can teach. And her fans? They stood by her. They saw the quiet strength, the refusal to be bitter. So was it truly a setup? Did Lee Min-ho intentionally lead her into a project that would fail her, or was it simply a tragic collision of pride, pressure, and unresolved emotion? Perhaps he never meant to harm her. Perhaps he was just chasing perfection, forgetting that perfection built on someone else's silence is no perfection at all. But in the end, perception became reality. The project may have boosted his acclaim, but it also left a lasting stain, one that no award or headline could erase. Because when the credits rolled and the world moved on, one truth lingered in the quiet hearts of fans everywhere. Kim Go-eun deserved better. And maybe she knows that now. In a recent interview, when asked how she feels about her past collaborations, she smiled faintly and said, "Everything that breaks you teaches you how to stand taller." Those words weren't about revenge. They were about release. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't exposing what someone did to you. It's showing the world you've risen above it. So while the world still debates whether Lee Min-ho's new project was a trap or just a misunderstanding, Kim Go-eun has quietly written her own ending. An ending where she's no longer the one being set up to fail.